Hello everyone, Kurt Klein here with Hallmark University, reviewing Don Yakabuchi's Marketing Management 5th edition for BUS5332 Marketing Management. Today we're going to cover the final chapter, Chapter 17, Marketing Plans. So when we look at our managerial checklist, this is going to put together the 5 C's, STP, and the 4 P's. So basically, how do we create a marketing plan? How do we put it all together and turn marketing thinking into marketing magic, right? So, first discussion question today, what do you think goes into a marketing plan? The easy answer is everything, right? Everything we've talked to you in the last 16 chapters, that goes into the marketing plan. But remember, before we just wholesale say everything and call it a day and pat ourselves on the back, we need to also think about the fact that some aspects, some elements of that marketing framework may not be in our plan. So, let's move forward here. Marketing plan, excuse me. The sections of a marketing plan follow the marketing framework. We've got a table of contents with the executive summary, situational analysis, which would be your 5 C's, the marketing analysis and strategies, the STP, and then the tactical plans, that would be the 4 P's. And then there's any appendices that might have the data that we needed to be able to reinforce what we're working on. In the executive summary, a good executive summary is no longer than a page. Who's on the team? It's a mini report of the highlights and recommendations of the team, of what the team will be doing and how the execution will go through. This is written in prose. Remember that. It's full sentences. We're not bullet points. It's kind of a story, but it's a quick, short story. So situational analysis, that's your 5 C's. The customer, the company, the context, and the collaborators, and then the competitors. So what are they doing? That's your situational analysis. The company example is company questions are, what are we known for? So you do a SWOT. The proposed answers, a central point to coordinate the receipt and dispersal of scholarships to enhance college attendance and graduation rates, right? Who do we want to become? A brand as well known as UNICEF or World Wildlife Fund, so that we would be the first NPO that donors would think of when wishing to demonstrate their philanthropy, right? So customers examples for the 5 C's. In the customer questions, demographics, proposed answer, 30 to 60 or 45 to 65. For Cool Tan Wellness, when we do boosted posting, we're usually targeting women 18 to 65 plus. So that's our demographic. Psychographics, they care about higher education. My psychographics, I'm looking for folks that care about the vanity side, beauty, health, wellness, you name it. If they want to look good, we want them here. Buying behavior, give a $20 or $50 once a year. This is for our previous NPO example, but when we think about real life, we're looking for a monthly subscription. That's what's going to keep the lights on long term if you're looking at beyond the nonprofit organization. Customer satisfaction, never measured, assumed okay if people continue to repeat the purchasing process. I think you should measure it. You should ask people if you're doing a good job. I ask people constantly, hey, is everything good? Are y'all good? Are y'all set? Something along those lines. And that may not be as an in-depth customer satisfaction survey, but it's hoped for in that moment that somebody would say, you know what, Kurt, I noticed that this is a problem. Oh, my bad. Let me fix that right away, right? That's customer service, that's feedback, and then follow up and follow through. Do we have a loyalty program? No, but we give a calendar for $100 any donation in the NPO. Do we have a loyalty program? We normally give folks a little perk or a spiff when they refer somebody. We give them a free upgrade, or we give them a free packet of lotion, or depending on the bottle cost, we might give a free bottle of lotion, or add a complimentary service for a month, right? Why don't non-donors donate when we're thinking of our NPO here? They think they have to give large amounts. Anybody that's in charity knows that you can nickel and dime your way to your goal. You don't need the $100,000 donors, although those donors are really awesome. Same thing with a subscription-based company like what we've got. We don't need everybody to do the wellness suite, which would be the highest dollar figure in our particular offering. We could just get a couple hundred extra people to do the basic tanning package, which is like $22 a month. That would be awesome, right? Nice little increase in the revenue. So it doesn't have to be a massive dollar figure, whether it's nonprofit or it's for profit. So channel for donors, send check by mail. Ours is EFT, electronic funds transfer. Are buyers price sensitive? Let donors know that giving only a little is okay and to give more frequently, right? Changes to expect should grow as awareness grows. Okay, so we begin with secondary research and then primary research. So we start with secondary research that says this is definitely a thing, and then we do our own individual research. This is what we noticed when we started our own thing, and this is the feedback. So moving forward accordingly. In your first year, that's why they say, small businesses or startups, if they can get past that 5-year marker, they're kind of home free. It's not that they're home free, it's that they have now a track record and they can look back and go, over the 5 years, we've had enough time to see the causal effect of our decisions. Based off our decisions, based off the feedback of our customers, now we can make the right choice in our branding, our label, our presentation, whatever it might be. But in that first year, what carries most companies is their enthusiasm. They're just so stoked to have hung up their own shingle, right? So that's why the primary research is second within that hierarchy. You begin with secondary research. What's the market say? Right? We've talked about in the course of our lecture the distiller that we're focused on building, and it, initially it seemed like a pipe dream, and then it gets closer and then further and closer and further. And it's like a cha-cha, right? So, but over time, we've driven most of this off of secondary research because we aren't official, ergo not legal either. We don't have any primary research to fall back on and say, you know what, we've had great sales. That'd be called bootlegging. That's technically illegal. So you can't really do that. You can do test runs. You can do limited stuff until you have all of your licensure. So depending on the regulation, we've talked about that in previous chapters, you may not be able to get your hands on any of your own primary research that was done specifically by you on the data that you've collected over the time that you've been in business. So it's kind of scary. That's why starting a business for a lot of folks is very scary, because they just don't know what to expect. And secondary research, the other thing you got to wonder is, did anybody crunch their numbers appropriately to get it to say what they wanted it to say? Tough, right? So now you have some credibility issues of your secondary research. You got to ask lots of questions. Context example. So context questions, economy. Proposed answers, concerned with economy, right? And we could be thinking economy as far as economics, or we could be thinking of economy as far as efficiency, that sort of thing. Politics, unknown. Never tried a different appeal to Democrats and Republicans from an NPO. That's where we're going here. If you think about the distillery example, yet again, Democrats and Republicans, we're stuck with lawmakers trying to decide how to take this syntax taxable product and control it appropriately. Well, do they really know best? Who's got their ear? The little guys or the big guys? Is it easy for them? Is it hard for them? Do they have a vested interest? Do they care? Are they recovering alcoholic? There's lots of questions. So, when you think of the politics for the context for the politics, never tried a different appeal. Democrats and Republicans. I don't know how you would go about that one because I'm not a lobbyist per se. I think I would just have to go and plead my case. That's lobbying, I guess. Legal, not applicable for some, very applicable for others. For, again, back to that distillery example, we've got to work with the Alcohol Tobacco Trade Tax Bureau. They abbreviated it TTB, but it's got a massive name. And then there's the Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission. If we ever hope to get out of Texas, we've got to know Louisiana's version of the TABC and New York's version of the TABC and every other state's version. And some states, thank God, there's not a lot of them, but there's some states, they don't have it. It's the TTB or nothing. Yay, we might want to look into expanding to them first. But then when you think of it from the diffusion of innovation, we might be laggards in that particular bell curve. Everybody else probably had that idea too. You don't know until you go and you check it out, right? That would be your primary research in that instance. So technology, move more giving online, perhaps online videos of students' testimonials, that sort of thing. Back to our NPO example. Societal, emphasize the many benefits of an educated populace. Now, when we start doing this more and more, we're going to find that the divide between the 1% and the rest of everybody else, and you could say the top 5%, but the divide between the 1% and the top 5%, so number 5 versus number 1, the divide's huge. And then it's exponential versus middle class. So when we start thinking about an educated populace, does the powers that be in the capitalistic society that we have, does that have a vested interest, truly and utterly, in having an educated populace? Think it through. If you need an example, go back to medieval times, not the restaurant, history, and look at serfdom. Did they want the serfs to be educated? The answer is no. History has a tendency to repeat itself. I'm not saying we're in the medieval times, but think it through for a second. So you're going to have to really hit the benefits. And it can't be the benefits of the educated populace. It has to be the benefits to the donor. Make sense? Know your population, or know your audience. So 5 C's again: collaborators, good relations with supply chain, fine so far. Perhaps try to partner with some professional associations, and always keep feelers out. It's okay to build bridges. Be careful and very selective if you're going to decide to burn them. Because if a supplier suddenly can't get it done because of mismanagement, and mismanagement comes in a lot of different ways. You might have a middle-sized business, but still run by mom and pop. Think that through for a second, right? When we think of it like that, what if mom or pop comes down with some sort of terminal cancer? How's the supply chain? Is the communication still there? And I know that sounds brutal to a certain degree, but that's the reality we live in. All of a sudden, the people that make sure that you can make your living are in jeopardy. What's plan B? And I realize, more often than not, plan B is to make sure plan A works. But when plan A comes up with a kink, what now? You've got to be thinking about that. Good relations with distribution channel members, perhaps post ads on professional sites, LinkedIn, etc., to broaden your appeal. Competitors example, who are they? Anti-donation behavior, medical and health, museums, the arts, etc. Competitors' strengths. Some have very good brand names. You know, when we think of the NPO, the nonprofit organization, getting donors to come in, there was a company, and honestly I cannot remember in the course of all my reading where this company was. I want to say it was Louisiana. It might have been somewhere else. But what happened is they put on these massive, they got people like U2, Coldplay to play these amazing venues. And it cost a lot of money. Well, all of a sudden your ticket pricing was no longer simple. Your ticket pricing was quite complex and quite elevated. So while the company that put on these massive events, I mean, think about it. You have a charity thing going on, you have a concert done, a charity concert, and Bono and U2 are there. In today's terms, that'd be like Taylor Swift, right? Something along those lines from a popularity perspective. You know, but she comes out, she's got to get paid. Band's got to get paid. There was the production of putting it on, one-time event, right? That crew's got to get paid. Then the people that put it on's got to get paid. And then there's the donation factor. And what happened is, all of a sudden, like the American Heart Association, I think it was the American Diabetes Association, I might be wrong in who the associations were, they had hired this individual to run these programs and build this. And they came under fire because they said, well, you know, your take on this whole program, this whole big push was $20 million. And everybody was like, well, you know, if you're a charity, you wouldn't be making $20 million. They raised $40 million for the charity. So the fact that they got paid $20 million, they earned a total of $60 million, we have problems with that, right? So when we think about competitors' strengths, some have very good brand names. How do we get somebody who can put on a show and get people to open their wallets? When we think NPO, that's what you need, right? I would pay that person handsomely if I got 5, 6, 7, 10 times whatever what they made. And if their ticket price is $1 million, pay it, right? It's business. Marketing plan overview. Marketing analysis and strategies, the STP. So when we look at segmentation example, segmentation, current customers, mid to late 20s, some stay connected to friends, some click through and buy trips. Non-users, 40s and older. Ideal customers, late 20s plus with good disposable income. Probably going to want to move into the tech realm to attract those people because early 20s or late 20s, mid 20s with good disposable income. Think about who that is. That's not teachers. That's certainly not teachers with student loans, right? Know your audience. So identify segmentation variables that are relevant to the product. Targeting example, find targets that fit well with the company. They're profitable and actionable, right? So corporate fit, maybe aim a little older. Maybe we should stop trying so hard to be hip. It's okay for some of your brands to grow up, right? I mean, Swatch figured that out. They're really trendy with the younger population. And then they started making stuff that, honestly, I would wear. I wouldn't have worn it when it was hip. I certainly wouldn't wear it now. But now, the stuff that they're putting out, they've grown up. They've matured. You may be turning on an older crowd. You might be turning off an older crowd, depending on what you choose there as far as corporate fit. Positioning examples. Positioning is executed via the 4 Ps. Remember that always. Write a positioning statement. It's kind of like a mission statement. Everybody scoffs at writing a mission statement, but I think everybody should have a personal mission statement. And I think if you build your own company or if you're working with a company, you should help shape your mission statement. Period. End of story. Because then you know your purpose. There's a great book written by, I think it was either Ken Blanchard or Sheldon Bowles, and it's called The 1 Minute Salesperson. And they talk about selling on purpose. And what that means is be present while you're selling, but then know your purpose as to your sale and be deliberate in your movement. So positioning and that positioning statement is being deliberate. There's no question as to what you're doing. People can get behind that. If it's wishy-washy, they can't get behind it, right? So discussion question 2, assume you are marketing a new designer clothing line. List appropriate segmentation variables. Choose one target market. Write a positioning statement, right? So assume you are marketing a new designer clothing line. I think you need to have a logo that is easily reproducible, very simple, but at the same time stylistic and trendy, right? So when we think about our segmentation variables, current users, current customers, non-customers, ideal customers. What would be our ideal customer? Somebody that wants to look good inexpensively and wants great variety. And it's okay owning the same shirt in 20 different colors, right? That's what we're looking for in that segmentation with that particular example. Choose one target market. What's the largest market right now? Well, it's still baby boomers and millennials. Interesting, right? Very mature crowd and a very fluid crowd. We don't need to say immature or immature for the millennials because now they're in their 30s, right? But think about that for a second. If we want to hit those two, who do we leave out? Gen X. Who's got some serious moxie where their spending is concerned? Right about now, it's Gen X. But as far as the sheer volume, millennials and baby boomers still got them outpaced, right? And then writing a positioning statement. Pretty straightforward there. Marketing plan number 3. Tactical plans. The 4 Ps. Your product, your price, your place, your promotion. So product example. Are we high-end or basic? Are we high-end, innovative? What are primary features? Convenient, trusted, good product. What are our brand associations? Few due to minimal awareness as of yet, right? Where are we in the product life cycle? Brand new. So back to that distillery example, we're hoping to create a high-end, innovative product. And I shouldn't say we're hoping. We've created a high-end, innovative product. It will generate trust in the course of usage, right? It's definitely a good product. And our brand associations, few due to minimal awareness as of yet. I want genuine and authentic, handcrafted to be what we tie that awareness to. Now, I don't know what that looks like just yet. I also want, because it's the label is tied to the 143 moniker, I'd kind of like people to associate us with love. Now think about that for a second. While that might seem a little bit crazy, it might be a little bit out of the box. If people in the midst of giving somebody they love a hug, and in the midst of giving said hug, they're thinking, man, that 143 vodka is awesome, then we've achieved our goal. So then when we think about the brand associations, we're associated with everybody, right? That's how we've got to focus. Now, that's a aim for the stars, land on the moon, you're still in space type of focus. Okay? And then where are we in the product life cycle? Well, we're one stage before brand new because we're just getting up and running, right? We're just getting testing our feet underneath us to be able to stand to say we are brand new. So pricing example, what are our customers' price sensitivities, right? Minimal price will be too high for many customers, but the desire for the product may well make those who can afford it relatively insensitive. So they're willing to pay a higher price. Offer occasional price discounts, no reason. Benefits outweigh the high price, no competition yet. So for us with the distillery example, price discounts, I don't know. I don't want to set the bar too low. I don't want to set the bar too high. So that requires a little bit more research. Beneficial to price differently from competitors. No competitors yet, but keep price high to gain margin return on R&D. For us, back to that distillery example, competition is huge. But the market is massively untapped, I think, still. So there's lots of room. And there's too many people that don't have their minds set about them, that run in, they expend on the wrong things, and they become top heavy in their cost profile. Our goal is to not be cost heavy. It's not to be, high-end equipment. We need serviceable equipment. And to be perfectly honest, I've got no problem repurposing equipment. Because at the end of the day, if it'll produce what the recipe has, that's what we're after. I mean, we could make these things out of washing machines or something, right? It doesn't matter. I realize the tour is going to be sucky at that point in time with a bunch of modified washing machines. But, you get the idea, right? At the end of the day, what's it about? It's about being profitable and creating sustainability long term. That's what we want. Promotion example. Our marketing communications advertising goals. Search engines. Get into bookstores or Brookstone. Videos onto Facebook. That sort of thing. How to measure the ad effectiveness. Click-throughs if you're working on a website. Sales volume goes up. I mean, that's effectiveness, right? How to budget across the IMC. Aim for PC Magazine, Road and Track. For us, how to budget across the IMC, gosh, we're going to have to be innovators where impact is concerned. We need maximum impact for the least dollar figure. Because then when we really want to pour it on, when we do become bigger, we'll be able to take that same avenue, dump a ton of cash into it, and absolutely dominate. And that's the name of our game, right? So place, example. Place distribution questions. Will we be extensive or selective? Selective currently. Use more pull or push. Pull. For us, we're going to use a combo of pull and push. Any conflicts to resolve? No, still forging relationships. It's tough to have any conflicts if you don't have relationships, right? Conflicts usually only arise through a poorly mismanaged and miscommunicated relationship. Remember, we talked about communication, establishing trust. Communicate, communicate, communicate. That's what you've got to do in all of your supply chain and logistics and marketing relationships. Otherwise, man, people will start to not do business with you. 4P considerations. Make sure that your 4Ps are consistent with one another. Exclusive distribution with heavy promotion is inconsistent. Make sure that your 4Ps are what your target desires. Discussion questions 3. For a new designer clothing line, what would be your product mix decisions, price decisions, promotion decisions, distribution decisions? What factors would you utilize to justify your decisions above? Okay, so since we're talking clothing, let's talk about this for a second. A few years ago, I would say late 90s, early 2000s, the flare pant came into great style. I got to be honest, I love the way that looks. I think women look amazing in those. I don't know how guys look in that. I think it looks a little off, but whatever works. Now, when we think about it, when were those in style before? 30 years prior. So product mix decisions. Go back 30 years. Look at the designs. So if you look at design in general, when designer whatever pant designs is a great example. The high-waisted, the low-waisted, the moderate waist. Look and see where within the history of fashion those particular designs were in vogue. Not the magazine. I mean popular, right? So then from there, price your decisions appropriately. Promotion decisions, distribution decisions. What factors would you utilize to justify your decisions above? Right? Product mix, look at what was popular. Don't reinvent that wheel. Now, if you've got the perfect, I don't know, it's a vest and then it suddenly turns into a life raft, I mean, that's a specialty market. So price decisions, promotion decisions, distribution decisions. If you're absolutely going to copy that 30-year cycle, look and see how they did it. And then tweak it to fit for today. Make sense? So let's take a look. Spending time and money. September, timeline, marketing activities, create donor appeal materials, budget $15,000. September to October, create marketing literature to reach beyond lists, $17,000. November, refresh video and other content online, $3,000. December, direct mailing of donation requests, $15,000. January to March, measure response of December push, $2,000. April, email version of donor requests, $3,000. So 8-month program totals $55,000. Establish a timeline for actions. Establish cost estimates. They're always going to be estimates. Now, if you're dealing with a board, if you're dealing with investors, if you're dealing with just your boss in general, you might want to over-promise or under-promise and over-deliver, right? So if you said, hey, I budgeted for $15,000, you don't want your budget to be terribly off. You don't want to be like, and I spent 10, because what that says is your budgeting is off by 33%. But if you said, my estimate was $15,000 and I spent 21, you have the same problem. They can't trust you to budget. Are they going to trust you to execute? Not for long. So think about that. But if it's $15,000, you come in at 14, and you take that 1 and you drop it into the 17, which then became 18. The 3 was only 2,500. That's 500 extra. You had 15,000 in that next one. You dropped in at 12.5. So you've got some consistency, a little dip on that 12.5 from the 15, but you see where we're going with that. Now you can come back and be like, okay, I estimated 55. I was able to spend 50. I actually doubled this impact on here, and this is, rationale. Remember, ROI, the return on investment, because as marketing, you've got a return on that investment, right? And the people setting your budget and agreeing to your budget and helping you pay for your budget, they're going to want to know. You understand the ones and the zeros, right? So appendices. When we look at the appendices, Appendix A, marketing research, secondary data findings to support the 5 Cs. It's kind of like the references. Appendix B, CLV, it might be a chart. Appendix C, pilot tests on 4P recommendations, survey feedback, stuff like that. All the data is going to be in your appendices, plain and simple. The rest of it's got to be the actionable items and the report on what you distilled out of your data mining. Better marketing plans. Better marketing plans have more refined detail. The devil's in the detail, right? We've heard that a million times. Have precise estimates. You got to get them tight. Shed light on weaknesses of the plan. Don't let whoever you're presenting this plan to come back and be like, well, I notice it's lacking here, 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 here. Oh, gosh. Guess who doesn't have a job long, right? It's you. So explain the weaknesses. This is a weakness. In review, we notice this weakness. Leave it 1 or 2 so that they see that not only did you, because perfection every single time creates a weird dynamic. So be okay with finding the weaknesses, pointing them out, and then explaining how you're going to mitigate and circumvent said weakness. Managerial recap. When completing a marketing plan, remember the 5 Cs, STP, and the 4 Ps. If you don't have those, you don't have the marketing framework. The marketing plan reminds the company of its goals and serves as a guide to achieve those goals. It's your roadmap, right? Marketing strategy and planning is iterative. Lots of iterations, lots of repeats, lots of redoing the wheel. Not reinventing, just kind of refurbishing. Marketing plans are works in progress. As situation changes, plans change. It's called being strategically agile, right? And one of the characteristics at Homework University is agility and agile, right? We've got to be able to pivot. If you say this is the plan, but the plan looks right now suddenly that we are running maximum speed into the side of a cliff, that's not good. More detailed plans are better. Massage the plan to be able to be readable, because if you geek out on it and it's all in your terminology, it's not going to work. All right, folks, that's all we've got for Chapter 17. Have a good time.